Up next, the Democrats have caved on the government shutdown. So now angry liberals are like, we got to get them out of here.
The Democrats cave and reopen the government and cater to the Republicans' requests. My biggest question is, why did we do this? Why did we shut down the government for a month just for you guys to cave to them?
Great
just
question.
So they can do this shit next month?
Great question.
Don't cave.
Because they wanted to pretend and flex as if they have power that they really don't have. That's why.
If you have a Democratic senator, you need to be calling them right now. The Senate is supposed to vote tonight on a bill that would possibly reopen the government, and preliminary reports show that there are 8 Democrats that are expected to vote yes, which would in turn reopen the federal government with no extension for these healthcare subsidies. If this happens, this 40-day shutdown will have been for nothing.
Right.
It will have been for nothing because all it's showing is that Republicans can just wait Democrats out. They can wait them out and then shove anything they want down Americans' throats with no negotiation whatsoever. So get on the phones, start calling your Senate Democrats, tell them they need to hold the line. This is our only hope. That's it.
You know, down in Texas, there's an old saying, remember the Alamo. You go down with every vigor of fight that you got. But I'm telling you that the Democratic Party is a dying party because those ideologies, Americans are moving away from that, especially black Americans. We're no longer going to be your slave and whipping boy. You don't have power, and they can just wait you out.
This is the last thing I'm going to say about the Senate Democrats' utter cowardice on this. They think that we live in a world where bipartisanship and holding hands and West Wing ass Aaron Sorkin dialogue is going to smooth over virtually every problem we ever have, and good faith is always going to be a thing that exists in American politics. When I tell you that they are living in an entirely different reality, this is what I mean. I saw a couple of senators that voted for this thing to end the government shutdown unironically say, this gives us an opportunity to have a vote in 40 days on the Affordable Care Act subsidies. And it's like, you're touting a pinky promise for a vote, maybe, when they already ignored the last time that they made a pinky promise to have a vote. You're expecting them to do it now. And by the way, Chuck Schumer voted no on it, and there's an obvious reason why. He either lobbied the other yeses so that he knew it was going to pass so that he could then cover his own ass and vote no, so that he could tell any future primary challenger, see guys, I didn't support this. Or he didn't support it and has absolutely no control over his caucus. Either way, that's disqualifying as a leader. I'm going to go back to watching Dexter, but all I'm going to say is this. The Democratic Party as it exists today cannot exist in the future. There needs to be a fundamental change, systemic change from the root up. I wish I was a fly on the wall of every Senate candidate running an anti-establishment campaign because they just got the ultimate boon.
You're living in an entirely different reality if you believe all of the shit that you just said. And the reason why I say that is because they have no option. Trump floated the idea of removing their Trump card, pun intended. They call it the nuclear option, which is getting rid of the filibuster. So once the filibuster is removed, then the Democrats have no options. They only tell you that they're doing it based off of a pinky promise to at least come up with an excuse as to why they're backing down.
So did the Democrats cave, at least 8 of them, in voting to invoke cloture to eventually move on to vote to reopen government? In short, I think the answer is for sure yes. Now, also keep in mind, I think it's clear that within the Democratic circles, they basically found 8 people willing to vote to do this, and the rest of them could vote no. How do I know that? Because the people that are voting for cloture are either not running again or just got reelected. So shows the courage there. But listen, ultimately, the Republicans have made it clear all year that they are not going to talk to Democrats. They've bragged about it. They've bragged about how they don't need them, how they're not going to discuss anything with them. Donald Trump has done the same thing. And all of a sudden, we get to this point where Democrats have a tiny bit of power, a tiny bit. And that is just whether or not to invoke cloture. And so they can have every right, according to the Constitution, to request something for it. And I think they've requested something very normal, which is let's figure out these ACA subsidies, which, by the way, the Republicans could have been negotiating with them the whole time. But what's happened instead? Mike Johnson has kept every Republican home for like the last 2 months, yet they've been paid twice, $30,000 gross for each member of Congress during this shutdown. They had a great Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago. They're continuing to build this big, massive ballroom. It is completely out of touch with the pain that the American people are feeling in this shutdown. And while I've been in the rooms and I understand like how that pressure grows and how that, you get the calls and the people that aren't getting paychecks and flights are canceled and it makes it really easy to want to vote to reopen government, the Democrats honestly have Republicans on the ropes here. And while pain is certainly bad, the long-term gain, which is being able to ensure those ACA subsidies, would have been worth it. But instead, it looks like the pain got too great, and they're going to get promised a vote, assuming that Republicans actually follow through on their promise this time. So I think they did cave. I think the Democratic base has a right to be upset here.
There's this false idea that the Democrats have more options and more leverage than they actually do. Of course they caved. They never had the Republican Party on the ropes. Matter of fact, the whole government shutdown and the pain that the American people were experiencing, most people blame Democrats for that. There was no political leverage, even though they tried to frame it as Republicans having a majority in the House and the Senate. But we all know that the holdup for funding the government specifically was the Democratic Party.
There's a lot of people pissed off, still have a lot of fight in them, and I respect that. I do. But you got to understand something. There's a reason the Democrats made the deal that they did. And it's this. It's really simple. It's not hard. The Republicans made it clear there was no deal to be had.
Right. You're right.
They would destroy anything. They were willing to drive the airlines into bankruptcy. And remember, this is the travel season. This is where the airlines make their money.
Yeah.
And the Republicans were more than happy to bankrupt the airlines. They were more than happy to destroy the holidays, destroy the economy.
I don't understand how out of one side of their mouth, Democrats frame the argument as if this is Republicans doing, while simultaneously saying that the Democrats caved by funding the government. So who's at work here? Is it the Republicans or the Democrats? Like, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm gonna let them keep going.
He looked the Democrats dead in the eye and said, there is nothing that we won't destroy. There's no one we will not hurt. You saw that with the SNAP benefits. They're willing to just starve the least capable of us, the most vulnerable.
So it's not the Democrats doing it.
And at that point, you can either not believe them, which I absolutely believe them. I believe that there was nothing they were not willing to do to destroy the Affordable Care Act. It did not matter to them. And that being the case, what's the point of the shutdown? I mean, I commend the Democrats for trying. But when there's no deal to be made, when the Republicans are telling you, keep it shut down forever, we're destroying the Affordable Care Act, then it just becomes us.
It appears to me that on its face, if the Affordable Care Act was a great law, then there shouldn't be any taxpayer subsidies to prop it up. It should be able to just survive on its own as it is. But apparently it can't, so...
Making sure that it becomes us making sure that air traffic controllers aren't getting paid. TSA is not getting paid. Government employees aren't getting paid. If there's no point to it, if there's no deal to be made to continue on, while I get it, man, you've got fire. You were in for this fight. I understand that. But at that point, there's no point. It becomes us hurting people for no discernible reason. I get it, and I respect your fire. But at some point, you just have to accept the Republicans are what they are.
Their framing is amazing to me. Like, you can see that it's two wings on the same bird. If the Republicans are holding up the government, the Democrats are just as responsible. If the Republicans are causing the American people pain, the Democrats are just as responsible. But it's being framed because there is no leverage on the Democratic side, and hijacking the government is their only play. And it turns out that their play actually is imploding on themselves. Then it's the mean Republicans that don't care about the American people. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But
I see a lot of people getting their panties in a bunch about, oh, it wasn't the Democrats, it was just 8 of them. I'm like, guys, man, history shows us anytime that there is a tough fight going on, I don't give a damn if it's 13 who vote, 2 who vote, the Democratic side always folds. Republicans will keep the messaging. They will ride it out together. Whether if some of them don't like them or not, they're going to ride it out together. And I'm not sure if it's their leadership or if it's just they are that tight as a party.
Bruh, you gotta think, it's a minority of Democrats that are trying to hijack the government to get funding passed for the Affordable Care Act. And what they're doing to do that is they're using the power of the filibuster to prevent things from moving forward, when in fact, all Republicans have to do, because they have the majority, is the nuclear option of removing the filibuster. So Democrats have they have to make the choice. Will we no longer have the power to filibuster for future congressional events and still not get this passed? Or do we just cut our losses? That's what happened. They don't have power. It's imaginary power.
You know? So yes, Democrats are tripping again. And the ones who didn't vote are looking crazy for the ones who did vote. Guys, your memories are short. We were just here. We were just here in the same place. All right, come on, guys, fight. Hold the line, man. You could do it. You could do it. And what did they do? They folded. Right? You literally got Trump scrambling and truth socialing all night. That's how you know that you're making inways on what's going on, man. So I'll be damn all that, oh, it wasn't all the Democrats. It was only 8. But guess what? They folded as a group, right? Did those 8 just fold and it's okay? So come on, man. Get with the program and realize we got to go younger, progressive. Not super liberal, but progressive. You know, like in both parties. And that's why I say vote your interest. This whole division between D's and R's and stuff,
tribalistic,
it doesn't matter when there are millionaires, Democrats, like who aren't benefiting from Republican bills and laws. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to really be in tune with what's going on. Be in tune with the candidates and what they're running. Make sure that their actions match their words.
I agree.
All right? We're in this whole deconstruction phase of America now, to where words have not been matching actions. I'm talking about from the church to politics.
I agree.
Right? It's not a coincidence that that's going on. Okay? So everybody tamper down with your emotions about Democrat. Okay? And start really voting and looking at the interest. Hell, zoom in, get local. You know?
Yeah.
Who's your mayor?
Yeah, especially. Yeah.
Who's your representative in your area?
Yeah.
You know, blow them up. Like, call them. Be in tune with your community. And then you will understand where I'm coming from.
No, I do. I understand.
Peace.
I totally understand where he's coming from. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know that his perspective is coming from a liberal lens because of the tribalistic mindset that we're indoctrinated in. But when you completely free yourself of that and have no political affiliation that forces you to have a tribalistic worldview on their ideologies and really focus on what is in your individual beneficial interest and really take some time to look at both sides and ignore the rhetoric. That's hard to do.
The Democrat Party is done. It's over. No wonder why they've been going after Trump for all these years. I mean, they tried offing him. They tried arresting him. They tried bankrupting him. They did everything under the sun to try to defame this man.
Yep.
And they couldn't succeed.
They used to love him.
And now, as he's draining the swamp, we're finding out a lot of these people should be arrested for treason. Yes, the Democrats have done a number of siding with our enemies, sabotaging this great nation from within, even though they took an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution. These career politicians like Nancy Pelosi got rich and fat while the American people starved. And it's all over. Yeah, it's over. So you might as well go on and change your names back to the Bolsheviks.
Yeah, it's over. It's 100% over, and the Democratic Party know it. They're on their last leg. Once the black liberal wakes up and realize they've been on a plantation this whole time, and their thoughts and ideologies that were passed down through the generations have failed them, then that's going to be the final nail in the coffin for the Liberal Party.
Hello, we're 8 Senate Dems. We've reached a bipartisan deal to reopen the government. Hello, we're the other 252 members of the Democratic caucus who didn't approve this. Did you negotiate ICE out of our cities? Nope. Did you lower the cost of living? Nope. But you prevented the ACA premiums from tripling for 24 million Americans, right? Nope. We punt that vote until December. But Dems don't have the votes, and Speaker Mike Johnson hasn't promised anything. So we gave MAGA exactly what they wanted, got nothing in return, and now we're completely screwed? Why would you do this?
America understands that you can't tax your way out of issues. The economy works in a particular way, and sometimes it gets a little painful, but that's just the cost of it. A lot of Republicans are business minded, and that's what is actually needed to run a country.
Only the Democratic Party could clean sweep an election and then decide less than a week later it's time to abandon all of our leverage. We should give up completely. We just had a massive win. Again, public opinion on our side. Wind is at our back. Let's capitulate for no reason.
When did they clean sweep an election? The Democratic Party has the minority in the House and the Senate, and they don't have the executive branch. So I don't know what the hell these guys are. I don't know what year they're thinking about, but okay. And this guy has a cat in his lap.
And win nothing.
It pisses me off that they are pretending that they got anything out of this. Because they got nothing out of this. Of the senators that caved, they're saying that like, oh, I fought to make sure that government employees that were laid off will be reinstated, or I fought to make sure that back pay would be secured for all the federal workers. Those were things that were already going to happen. That's not a win. Stop pretending you did anything. Just stand on why you actually did it. Just stand on the idea that you opened the government back up because of SNAP or whatever the it was, and that you didn't have the political will to put that on Donald Trump, who ultimately bears the responsibility for this.
3 of the Democrats that betrayed the party and voted to end the government shutdown also voted against a $15 minimum wage 4 years ago. It is the same people that are consistently undermining momentum or outright stopping any project that would make the party more popular or stand up against the right wing. It's insane. Because the party is not held together by any set of central ideas, there is no way to advance a project or a movement that actually holds a coalition together. And if we want to go anywhere with this party, and in fact, if we want to defeat fascism moving forward, we cannot allow these people to stifle any and all progress or any and all momentum.
The reason why you don't have any progress is because your ideas are terrible. If you raise the minimum wage, you have to understand that small businesses, local mom and pops, would have to pay that minimum wage, which in turn would give more market share to giant corporations who can easily afford that. So your whole perspective on his face is just bad policy.
At this point, it's hard to call the Democratic establishment anything but losers.
Right.
Like I can't even say like, oh, Democratic leadership, because there are no real leaders, right? Like Chuck Schumer's a clown. There's no other way of putting that. You had all of this momentum, right? There were deeply red places throughout this country that flipped blue. You have the energy of young people, not just in New York, but nationally, excited about Zoran Mamdani, right? You have all this sort of like favor that you've curried, and the people are behind you, right? Like the government been shut down for over a month, and people were rallying around their neighbors with mutual aid, so on and so forth. And obviously it's a horrible situation, but like people understood that we're trying to save healthcare. We're trying to make sure that like 12 million people are not going to be absolutely screwed.
No.
And you cave.
I didn't hear people saying, oh great, the government's still shut down, we still fighting this fight, good. No, it was blaming the Republicans for the government shutdown and saying that the government should be reopened, and the only reason why the government isn't reopened is because of the Republicans. But their messaging was so fucking terrible that the American people realized like, hey, all Republicans want the government to be reopened, and the only ones that are holding the vote back are the Democratic Party, even though they have the minority in both the House and Senate. So how how are you winning here? I don't understand. Nobody's voting for you. You're losing seats. Mamdani is being considered one of the worst things to ever happen to New York. Their biggest tax base, the millionaires and billionaires, are threatening to leave.
You cave and you get nothing. Like Chuck Schumer, Chuck Schumer has to be done. I'm sitting here as a voter, I'm sitting here as a citizen, I'm sitting here as somebody who is constantly using my platform, using my voice and so on and so forth to not only raise awareness, but like literally try to be in community and raise money, right? Like I'm giving like people help for the loss of their SNAP benefits in part because not only do I want to help people, but I understand the nature of like this moment, right? It's important that we help each other with mutual aid because of what we're trying to save in the grand scheme of things. Why the fuck am I doing that? Like why did you put people in this position just so that you can ultimately cave? Like, no funny shit. I said this earlier. I was joking on Threads, sort of, right? Like, if AOC doesn't primary Chuck Schumer, she should announce tomorrow that she's primarying Chuck Schumer at this point, right? Because like, this is all on him. This is his job. If AOC doesn't primary Chuck Schumer, I'll fucking primary Chuck Schumer, right? Like how worse can it be? You are doing nothing, garbage.
I remember arguing with my grandmother when the Harris-Trump showdown, and she swore up and down Harris was gonna sweep it. And I'm like, Grandma, like, are we living in the same America? Because I don't think that it's gonna go down like that. I don't understand why you're saying this, but I don't think it's gonna happen the way you say it's gonna happen. And I mean, Donald Trump got the popular vote and the electoral college. I mean, everybody was voting for him. Matter of fact, more black men were voting for Donald Trump than ever before. They were starting to flip because they understood that when you tie yourself to this liberal party, you're not only tying yourself to the promise of affordable health care and a promise of reparations, but you're tying yourself to the ideas of this destruction of the nuclear family, the attack on the youth as far as sexual identity is concerned, this progressive thinking in gender ideology. You're tying yourself to all of those things, and a lot of black people are very spiritual. They're not gonna say Christian, but they're very spiritual, and that really goes against their nature.
Everybody shut the fuck up. Hey, shut the fuck up. Let me tell you something right now.
If you made it this far, check out the video we just did where teachers are complaining, and some of them are outright crying about how horrible kids are in these public schools. The youth is cooked.